I felt a lot of shame, especially regarding today's topic. It makes you think that you're the only person going through something when you're not. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melody and I make faith-based content here on YouTube. And welcome to episode number 2 in the Truth Is series here on my channel. So this series is all about me, an imperfect Christian, sharing my honest and transparent truth with you guys regarding different topics and different areas and facets of my life. The series has been birthed out of me finally deciding to be obedient and letting the Lord use what I am going through and sharing that with you here on my platform. For quite some time, I felt a lot of shame, especially regarding today's topic and what we're going to be talking about today. And that shame was just keeping me wanting to hide. And so the series is really all about just being transparent, being open and honest with you guys, in hopes that you can feel encouraged and to know that you're not the only one going through certain things. And I feel like that is kind of what shame does. It makes you think that you're the only person going through something when you're not. So, anywho, that is the synopsis of the series. That is how we got to this place. And in today's episode number 2, I'm going to be talking about feeling like a failure. And specifically feeling like a failure in my relationship with God and how I've, one, been navigating that because I've been feeling like this for quite some time now. And 2, some of the things that the Lord has been helping me reframe in my mindset to bring me out of that, because this mindset honestly does not come from Him. It just doesn't. So how He's been kind of leading me out of this season, and also just some things that I've been learning as we've been walking through this thing. So without too much further ado, let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Alrighty guys, so for this all to make sense, I have to kind of paint the scene for you of what my walk with God used to look like prior to just life happening and my world just becoming much busier. So long story short, I guess my testimony in like 30-second recap: grew up in the church, was very fear-based, didn't have a relationship with God, fell into New Age practices in college, went away to South Korea to teach English and lived there for 2 years. While I was there, I met the Lord and I had this revolutionary concept introduced to me of a relationship with God over like religion and being perfect and all of that. Embarked on a relationship with God in 2015, haven't turned back. And that's really my testimony. And when I first became a new believer, I feel like you have this zest, okay? This like newfound joy, this newfound excitement because you've stumbled upon this thing that you've been searching for your whole life, or at least that's how I felt. I had been trying to find the answers and trying to find methods and ways of living my life on my own. And then after coming into a relationship with God, it was like, oh my gosh, this is everything I had been searching for. And so I was diving into the Word. I was listening to sermons every single day. I was taking notes. I was doing devotionals. I was in a Bible study. I was just on fire for just deepening my relationship with God, getting to know Him more, uncovering some of the beliefs and unbeliefs that I had in my heart, bringing that to God, learning more about what it looked like to have a relationship with Him. It was just so incredibly exciting. So fast forward 2017, come back from traveling, and I embark on figuring out my life in America. And as I'm doing that, my relationship with God is continuously blooming. I plant myself in a local church in Orlando, the city I was living in at the time. I literally made a bunch of new friends based off of or from my church. And so my whole sphere really revolved around my church and my new friends and deepening my relationship with God. And, you know, I'm single at this time as well. So I just had so much time to give God. I was just so naturally on fire for Him. And my life, honestly, wasn't that busy because I was single and I worked and I went to church. That was like literally my life. So in 2019, I moved to Atlanta. And at this point, I had recently met who is now my husband, but at the time, obviously just my boyfriend. Excuse me. And we lived separately, not just like in different apartments, but he lived in Virginia, I lived in Atlanta. So I still was able to maintain this sense of independence even though we were dating for 1.5 years prior to getting engaged. And during this season, again, I did the same thing I did when I moved to Orlando. When I moved to Atlanta, I got connected at a local church. I met friends through the local church. So I had a lot of free time, and I was just, you know, living for God in a way that only people who have time can. Like, just dedicating everything to him outside of my job, which still trying to see him in my job, you know, working 9 to 5. But yeah, so my walk and my relationship with God at that point, and kind of what I compare what my walk with God looks like now to, it just looked like having time in the morning to journal and do a devotional and to read the word for 35 to 45 minutes. Having time to journal and like physically write. I'm a physical writer kind of girl. Like, that's honestly how I prefer to really just pour out what is in my brain and what's in my heart. And it's very therapeutic for me to do that. And having time to do that, having revelations, you know, being moved to tears in my quiet time because, you know, something that I read just clicks and I feel like the Lord is connecting dots, and just really feeling his presence and having a really strong emotional reaction at least once a week, I'd say, in my quiet time. And just having those revelations, having those insights, just feeling so tangibly close to him because of the amount of time that I'm spending with him and just like what our time looks like together. So that is, yeah, like I would say prime time, my optimal, what I wish every day could look like, having that chunk of time. And so from one season to the next, I would say the engagement season to the marriage season to the now pregnant season, the pregnant season to now new mom season, life has just not stopped for me. And all of these things are such blessings. And I talk about this in the first episode of the Truth Is series. I'll have that linked above here. It's all such amazing blessings. However, as I've been navigating each season, it has been difficult for me to find that same amount of time. And if I'm honest, that same amount of just on fireness for the Lord and spending that time with him. And I have felt so much shame regarding that. I felt like I'm a bad Christian. I felt like I'm failing at this walk with the Lord. I felt like, you know, why can she do it, but I can't do it? Why do I not have the desire to do it? What's wrong with me? Is God mad at me? Just having so many thoughts of condemnation regarding myself, regarding my walk. And it just left me in a really negative space. And so as I'm navigating these new seasons of life, honestly, and also these new seasons of what my relationship with God looks like during these new seasons of life, on top of just feeling like personally, I miss that on fire feeling. I miss that emotional feeling. I miss the feelings, you know. I also have just an extra layer personally of condemnation regarding, wow, I'm not even getting inspiration for videos. I'm failing my audience. How can I have this platform and not have anything to talk about or feel unqualified to talk about certain things? So it has just been, honestly, it's been a lot. It's been emotionally a lot. And then part of the reason why it's felt a lot is the shame again that I felt. And when I personally feel shame, I don't want to talk about it. I kind of want to act like it's not happening. And I think, so this kind of segues into stuff that how the Lord's been helping me reframe this whole thing, and something that I learned throughout the process of what is so important as you are walking through life as a Christian and how you can navigate seasons like this is, unfortunately, like during the thick of all of this, in Atlanta, I just wasn't surrounded by people that I felt like I could openly and honestly share how I was feeling in this season. there was definitely a few times and a few people that I did talk to about it, and I just felt so encouraged and so much lighter once I did. But I wasn't often around these people, and so I was just kind of like marinating in the shame. And then there were specific times where I kind of would try to talk about it, but you really have to have a safe space of people that you feel comfortable opening up to, especially with something that's so vulnerable and something that you feel so shameful about. And so that's something that I learned throughout this process of just how important community is, and having that safe space and having people that won't judge you, and having people that will encourage you, having people that will pray for you and pray with you, and having people that are openly able to share about their struggles as well. So I feel like sometimes relationships can definitely be one-sided when you're sharing openly, honestly about your struggles, and the other person's kind of like, oh, well, you know, never been there, don't know how to do that, like never experienced that, which is fine. Someone doesn't necessarily have to have that same experience as you. However, if it's kind of like they've just been the perfect Christian, it just kind of reinforces that shame and reinforces that feeling of like something is very wrong with me. So I guess, you know, segueing, if I can, into my first piece of advice, if this is something that you are walking through and something that you're feeling, is seeking out and trying to find a safe community, or even just a safe person to talk to and to openly share how you feel. So that's my first piece of advice for you. That's the first thing. But going back to everything, as I entered into all the different seasons of my life, from single living in Atlanta to my boyfriend living in Atlanta to getting engaged to getting married, each season just got progressively busier, progressively more responsibilities, especially once I got pregnant. I was just sick all the time. I was basically sick from 5 weeks to 16 weeks of my pregnancy. Excuse me. And so my mornings just look different. I woke up not feeling great, knowing that I needed to get through the day, and the idea of just spending that time in prayer and devotional, it just wasn't an option. Not that it wasn't an option, but it just couldn't look like it used to. I couldn't have that energy, or didn't have that energy to get out my pen and paper and to write. So then I started finding new ways to connect with God, and I would do it on my phone, or I would do the devotional on my phone, or I would do the journaling on my phone in the Notion app, and just finding ways to navigate the season and roll with the punches and roll with the differences that each season brought. But still, I felt so much shame that it was looking different. Even though it looked different, and maybe it could be not bad different, just different, I still really struggled with accepting the fact that, you know, it doesn't look like it used to. And I felt so strongly that it should, this idea that it should. So that mindset really impacted the content that I made last year. It impacted, honestly, so much. It impacted the content that I made last year. It impacted feeling like an imposter. It impacted feeling unworthy. It impacted feeling like I don't have anything of value to provide. It impacted feeling like, is God mad at me? Am I a failure? Am I failing him? Should I be doing more? Can I be doing more? Why aren't I doing more? Just all these thoughts. And the biggest thing that I took away from all of that now, and that the Lord is really helping me reframe all of this and what we've been walking through, is a relationship with God isn't a formula. And I was watching another Christian YouTuber. Her channel is Cayenne Wolfgang, and she was talking about like Christian culture in one of her videos. And something she said just hit me so impactfully and so profoundly. She talked about how, I guess in her therapy session, her therapist was asking her, what would it look like for you to spend time with Jesus? And thinking about it as if Jesus was like here with you, a human being in the flesh, what would you do with him? And yes, some people would spend 45 minutes in devotion with him or reading the Bible with him, but honestly, that's not going to be what it looks like for everybody. In certain seasons of life, maybe that time spent with Jesus is going to look like doing the dishes, cleaning baby bottles, changing dirty diapers. And after I watched her video and just honestly thought back on the things that God has been bringing me through and helping me see during this season, it just really clicked for me that I have been placing God in a box. thinking that my time with God can only look like X, Y, and Z for it to be impactful, for it to be meaningful, for me to be growing as a Christian. But that is not true at all. And I had to ask myself, why do I have these thoughts? Where do these thoughts come from? Is it in the Bible? Does it say that you have to do X, Y, and Z to grow in your relationship with God? As in, like, you have to spend 45 minutes in devotional the first time or the first thing in the morning. And then after that, you have to journal for 5 minutes. And then after that, you have to memorize the scripture every day. No, it doesn't say that. And these are all things that I feel like culture kind of puts in, Christian culture, but also just things that I placed on myself. And once I kind of took off the pressure of thinking my walk currently has to look like how it used to when I was single and when I just had so much more freedom, I have felt much lighter. I felt much more hopeful, and I have felt like almost like excited that I'm getting to know God in a new way. As I am navigating this new season, it's not that, yes, it looks different, and yes, it's going to be different. However, it's still the same God that I'm getting to know, and I'm getting to do different things with him. And I think as I'm doing different things with him, as in now spending time with him looks different, I can get to know different aspects and facets of his character. And there's something beautiful in that. And I feel like there's something encouraging in that as well. So instead of having this frame point and this viewpoint of condemnation, taking it off and thinking, okay, I'm going on in this lifelong adventure with the Lord. Different seasons are going to look different, and that's okay. And taking off that mindset of condemnation, taking off the mindset of shame, taking off the mindset of being a failure, and leaning into the truth of the situation, the truth of what God says about it, and the truth of who God says I am. So that is what we have currently been walking through. So something that I'm really excited to share with you guys that ties into the tip that I have for you regarding community and finding, even if it's just one safe person to talk about as you are navigating this thing called walking out your faith throughout your lifetime. I am super excited to be sharing with you all that I'm in the process of creating a membership club. And one of the huge driving forces for me creating this club is having community and creating a safe space for other women and for myself as well, to just connect openly and honestly, and just having a place to go to where you know that even if no one can completely relate to what you're going through, you're going to be receiving encouragement, you're going to be receiving prayer, and it's going to be authentic. And I think that is the biggest, most impactful part, I'd say, of receiving encouragement or of receiving upliftment, or I don't even know if that's a word, of receiving an uplifting message, is knowing that it is authentic. And I think everyone can feel that. So yes, if you guys are interested in learning more about the membership that is coming, it is for women who are wanting to grow in their relationship with God and also pursue their purpose. I will have a link in the description box for you to sign up to be the first to know more information once I start releasing that. But yes, I am very, very excited about that. And I hope that my journey through this different, interesting season of my walk with God can, one, just shed light for you in terms of some of the less amazing or less, I guess, peak parts of a walk with the Lord, and also give you some encouragement if you have been feeling like this or if you have gone through a season like this, and how you can reframe it as I'm learning to reframe it as well. Because honestly, I definitely have not come completely out of this. This is something that I'm still trying to figure out, that sweet spot of what it looks like to spend time with God, what it looks like to grow in this season with him. But I know that I no longer have to feel that shame, and I no longer have to have that condemnation looming over me. And I also know that I have a safe space of people and a community that I can talk to about this. And I am very excited to continue to create a safe space for other women. So Yes, that is episode number 2, guys, in the Truth Is series. All right, guys, so that is it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this a thumbs up. If you're excited for the next Truth Is episode, be sure again to give this video a thumbs up so I know. So before we go, of course, it is now your turn. So in the comments below, I would love to hear from you guys. What is an unexpected season that you have had to walk through with God? I think personally, when I started going through the different seasons of life, again, engagement, getting married, being pregnant, my walk with God changing, I wasn't ready for that. I didn't know to expect that. So I would love to know, as you kind of navigated different seasons of life, what did your walk with God look like during those seasons? Was it different than what you're expecting? Was it exactly the same? I would love to hear from you, and I definitely encourage you to leave a comment if you feel led and take some time to scroll through and read some as well. And again, if you guys are interested in learning more about the membership that I'm creating and just having that safe space and community for like-minded women who wanting to grow in their relationship with God alongside other women, but also get some tangible knowledge on how to pursue their purpose, definitely be sure to click the link in the description box and be the first to know when there is more information coming out. All right, well, that is it for me, guys. I will see you in my next video. Peace.